Okay. This is my least favorite Dungeon Crawler book. It just is. This is the only one that felt like filler to me. And when I was reading the first half, I have to admit, like, Matt was very, very, very slow to start this book. Very slow. So we that we're doing Patreon for him, he usually writes a chapter a month if he's slow, and then sometimes he'll like drop a ton of chapters. It's not super even, but usually it's consistent with dropping something. He would drop a chapter and they wouldn't touch anything for 2 months, and then he would drop a chapter and then he wouldn't touch anything for 3 months. Like, it took a long time for this to start. And he was very slow with the beginning of this book, so I'm already kind of feeling like, okay, um Donut has a cool fire spell. Cool. We've kind of seen that before. I don't care. I like Mad Max. Mad Max is something that I enjoy. And I was like, I've kind of seen Mad Max. I don't really care. Um, and all of the he usually does a good job with the tropes. Like, you have the card system in book seven. Um, and the card system was cool. Like, I like the way that he implemented it. With this one, with the car system, I was like, okay, you're upgrading the tires. It's okay. It's not bad. It's good. It's above average for books, but I just don't care. Get me to a story instead of kind of nothing. And then you have the Prepotente part where they go and they do the goats, and the goats realize that there's like an apocalypse coming and it's part of their religion. I was like, this is super interesting. This is the world building I want. This is interesting. And then you go back to the dungeon, and I honestly just didn't care that much. Like, it's not bad. It's solid. It's good. It's better than average, but I just didn't care that much. And that was most of the first half of this book for me. Even I've read it twice now and I've listened to it. I still kind of feel the same way. It's not bad. Still is solid. But then there's the conversation with Don where Carl is literally going through how the first part of this book is a trap, because you feel like you're just getting into the groove of things and you're going through another level, and it's totally fine. And it made me like the beginning of the book better, because literally the author called me out. All the stuff I was bitching about online, they were like, yeah, you got sucked into it. It still makes me feel like there's a lot of filler in the first half of this book that just didn't need to be there. It could have been cut out. But it made me appreciate the fact that he realized there was filler and that was a purposeful part of writing. Do I think that's a good choice? Not necessarily. Do I think it's cool? Yes, I can appreciate it. There's a lot of parts of this book that kind of felt like we've seen it other places and it's been done better. Okay, they're little now. Cool. We kind of got that with the whole giant dog thing, and I liked that better. Okay, you have this race. Cool. Well, we kind of got that with the trains, sort of, and that was awesome. That was like just better. So I'm being pretty harsh on the book. I don't think it's bad. I think it's still well above average for writing, but it is definitely not my favorite. The ending of the book, when they're doing everything to get people to different floors, I thought was super interesting and very well written and very well thought out. I thought it was really cool. It was good. I thought it had some character development little bits to it that were interesting. Not enough of them, but interesting. And then you get to the very end, and the AI is doing this parade and kind of revealing everything. And I loved that part of the book. I thought that was great. And you get to the final climax of the book, and he's had a lot of great climaxes. But I'm like, Scalapendra's here? What the shit? And literally it ends. We were reading, and we read the chapters, and he delivers that chapter where Scalapendra shows up. And I'm like, what is going on? This is awesome. And I texted both of you. I was like, this is insane. What is happening? And they do the pet biscuit thing. I was like, this is so cool. I have no idea where this is going to go. This is Matt Damon. This is why you are famous. Do more of this and do less of the first half of your book, because the first half of this book is not that good. I loved the ending. I thought the ending was super interesting. I'm very interested in where it's going to go. I am also really happy that he has one book left, because it can't. you can't push this out anymore. Like, if you want your series to be successful, you need to go to the end game. That's where we're at. I'm also giving it a 7, but it's mostly because I like the rest of the series as much as I do. I've read it 3 times now. I feel pretty confident in saying that this is definitely the worst of the books, but it's still well above the average thing that you're going to read. I debated giving it a 6.5. I can't do that, but I debated it. It's definitely my least favorite.
Yeah, I agree with you that I think this is like it's my least favorite, but I think it's necessary.
That's my problem with the first half of the book is I don't think all of that is necessary. I think you could just cut some of that out, to be completely honest, and it wouldn't change a thing. And it's the only time in the series where I felt like you could just cut out some of the fluff, and it doesn't matter at all.
So even though we gave it the same rating, I'm just gonna argue. I do think it's necessary,
Okay.
right? Like because things are so slow, Carl feels like things are so slow, and that comes up as a theme where he's like having to remind himself this isn't just another floor anymore. Right? I think because it feels like, okay, it's another floor. Okay, we have another theme.
Boss.
It's cars
We
this
have
time.
another
We're doing
theme.
Mario Kart. Okay, like I do think it's on purpose. I agree this is the worst one in the book, but for me it's the worst one in the book because it's that reset. It's that now that you know what's the incentive to go back. And I feel like to one of Lauren's points, she brought up that like, oh, there's so many people that were like crying and stuff. There were times where I was like, Matt Dinneman is building up to something heavy. Like we had Ellie talking about her husband, and I was like, okay, get ready, it's gonna hit. It's gonna do something crazy with this. And then he's like, and this person was a imposter, and everybody knew. And I was like, okay.
Yeah. And you have Dawn die, which actually the Dawn scene's pretty good.
Well, all the crawlers dying is really well done. Donut killing 3 crawlers and not even feeling bad about it, right? Like it's all because we have this reset. We're dealing with this new cast of characters. We're dealing with all of these changes that happen in the dungeon and what it means and all that kind of stuff. I do think it is necessary because if you didn't have that slow burn, you wouldn't have the payoff. Right? I have the same argument with people who say, just skip the first hour and a half of, or hour and 45 of Rogue One. And then they go on to say, but the last 30 minutes is the best payoff of any of the Star Wars movies. And I'm like, it wouldn't pay off if you didn't have that beginning slower part. Either it's a good payoff and it's worth that slow bit, or it's not. You're having it both ways. That's how I'm viewing this one. You wouldn't have that payoff if it
I
wasn't that way.
disagree because I think we've had the build up. The payoff is a lot of like what's going on with the AI. Like that's a lot of what the payoff is. And we've had that build up for like 8 books.
But
I
we're
just don't
seeing
think
it
you need the
actually
first half of this
break
one.
in this one.
Yeah, but
Seeing
I
its
think
descent
the,
into control.
the interesting stuff is the part where it's breaking, and we've had the build up for that. The part that I don't really like is the typical dungeon stuff, which I usually would be super into, but I just kind of like was whatever. And I don't think that it increases the build up towards the AI delivery because we've already had that build up through a lot of other books.
But you're dealing with Carl too, right? That's what I'm saying is like the typical dungeon stuff is what makes Carl's payoff very good. The slow descent of the AI's self awareness and control and breaking and glitching happens methodically throughout the first part of the book. Right? You don't just suddenly wake up and you're crazy. You see it start to glitch and glitch more and glitch more. And become more and more self-aware and control things, and you see it start controlling things out of the dungeon and start killing people out of the dungeon and all that kind of stuff. So, like I said, I don't think it's worth a re-listen to because we know what happens at this point. So the enjoyment of it isn't there. But is it necessary? Am I happy that he did it? Yeah.
What do you think, Lauren?
Of like the payoff.
The payoff and the necessity, like I'm genuinely curious what your thoughts are on that.
I think he could have done less heats of the races and still gotten the same point across. Um, so I'm kind of like halfway between you guys. Like, we still needed the races to happen, but I don't think you need like the 7 heats or whatever that he had. It could have been just like 3 or 4. I think that would have been fine.
Josh, did you like the gimmick of this one? Like, did you like the way he implemented the car system?
No, I wish it wasn't the car system. And I didn't like the card system either.
You didn't like the card system either. Okay.
No. I like what happened with it. Like, I loved the Bedlam Bride. I loved the way that she infiltrated Carl, the way that she's still within Carl. But like the gimmick levels, I'm always like, I don't care. I even like Magic the Gathering, and I was like, I don't care that he's playing Magic. To me, it always feels like we've been building a way to play this game, and now we're playing a subversion of a different game for a chunk of it that stops you from progressing in the regular game. Like, games don't do that. Could you imagine if you were playing Skyrim and then it was like, for the next 3 hours, you have to play Magic the Gathering? No, you'd be like, what? I've been building my character. You want me to build my character around this temporary system?
Doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. And that's the way I feel about it. It's like, this temporary gimmicky stuff, I don't like it. I don't care for it. But that's not where I read Dungeon Crawler Carl. Like, it's something that happens. Okay, fine. I would prefer more plot, right? I'd like more traditional fantasy. Like, go back to playing Skyrim. If this floor was a Skyrim level and Carl was dealing with, NPCs and plots and things going on, but he was able to use his abilities the way that they were intended to be used because it was a traditional level, that would be my preference. I hate this, but like that changing of the rules temporarily does bother me, and it bothered me the first time too.
Cool. Lauren, I'm glad that you are an 8. For real. I was hoping you guys would like it more than I did. And I was hoping that I was a little bit blinded because of just how long it took me to read this one in particular. Yeah, that was still an enjoyable read. It's still good. I still have hope that the ending's going to be solid. Like, I still believe in the ending of this book series. He has had it planned for, I think he's had it planned since book 4, what he's doing for the end. I'm excited.
I'm excited too. Like I said, I view this as like a book 1 part 2, just because it is a change. Still have hope. Still excited for the next book. We're gonna see what happens.
Is your excitement down any?
No.
Okay, good.
Because, like I said, I view that this was on purpose. I view it was a good thing. My enjoyment of it wasn't high, but like it was with intent. So, okay, I think with that we're gonna wrap up this episode. Thank you everybody for watching and or listening. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment. Let us know what you want us to talk about. We love suggestions. Next week we're gonna be talking about The Secret Life of Ariadne. I don't know if I'm saying that right. We're going to watch it, and hopefully somebody says the title in the movie so I can know how to say that word. Remember to be better today than you were yesterday. Bye.
See you guys.